I've had my own business for several years, and here's some of the top mistakes that I have made. And if I'd known about these sooner, it would have helped me to grow my business more effectively. The very first mistake was not investing enough in business knowledge and implementation. I invested a lot in myself, in learning skills around coaching and NLP and the Enneagram and mindfulness. These are fantastic and I use them in my work and I don't regret investing that time and money and energy in it. However, I think the sooner you invest in actually business, understanding sales and marketing and branding, the better it is for your business to grow and flourish. Of course, if you can invest in both of these at the same time, or at least then alternate. This is something I realized fairly early on that really helped me to grow my business. The second thing is I was too scattered. When I first began, I thought I wanted to be on all social medias and do everything from having the podcast and the YouTube and the blog and coaching one on one and in group. And I was just doing a lot of different things. And it was a very scattered strategy, both scattered in terms of niching, scattered in terms of activities. And I quickly realized that this is not sustainable long term unless you have a whole team helping you. And although people told me, don't do all social medias at once, focus on one and develop that strategy, I have this shiny object syndrome, which means I want to try everything out. And this is not effective. After a while, I realized, okay, let's take one social media, my podcast, fully invest in them, do them well, and then when I can, have a team to develop and grow the rest. But being more focused, being more narrow in what you do and doing that well really pays off versus doing a lot of different things at the same time. So this was my second biggest mistake, being too scattered. The third one was listening too much to people. Why do I say this? Because when you start off and maybe you're a bit lost or confused, it's best if you can tune in to what you really want to do, what really brings you joy, what do you love spending time on, and don't listen too much on what other people have to say and their input. If you get a specific mentor for a specific strategy, implement it. But if you're getting loads of advice from friends and people around you, and people who don't even have their own business, don't listen to it too much. This hindered me in the beginning because I began to implement certain things that maybe weren't as aligned, that maybe I didn't enjoy as much, and this got me a bit off track. And then it takes a while to realize, wait a minute, this isn't what I want to do. Let's come back. Which leads me to my fourth mistake, which was at the beginning, out of fear, sometimes you might take on opportunities or roles that you don't enjoy as much, that aren't as aligned simply because you want to be financially profitable or successful. This is something that short term works, but long term, it doesn't pay off. Because when you're not aligned, when you're not in your zone of genius, you don't enjoy it as much, you don't give your best, and over time, this has a ripple effect. So if you can, hold tight, do what you really love, be fully aligned, and it will pay off. It will show, and you will get rewarded for it. I had to, over time, then get rid of the weeds, the projects I had taken on that maybe didn't make me blossom as much, and really focus on what I loved doing. Another core aspect, and this is personally linked, I think, to my personality, which is I was thinking too short term. I used to focus a lot on how could I, get income in the next month, 3 months, or how could I have more clients quite quickly instead of thinking 1 year strategy. Business is a long term game. You might meet someone tomorrow, they become your client 2 years down the line. If you're thinking from month to month, it doesn't work as a strategy. You'll get small gain, but you won't get the big success, big rewards. You need to continuously implement, do things, post, and after 6 months, maybe someone reaches out to you because they've seen your posts. So if at the beginning you're losing traction and you're thinking, oh, well, how can I make it work next month? No. Think of a 6 months to 1 year strategy that will really help you to see results in the long term over time. Now, of course, if there are some low hanging fruits, get them, but don't put all your emphasis and all your strategy on something that is so short sighted. These are some of the core mistakes I've made: listening too much to others versus to myself, taking projects out of fear that aren't actually fully aligned, thinking too short term, being too scattered in all my different things. But maybe out of all of those, being too hard on myself. Because when you're growing your own business, it can be a tough journey and there are a lot of roadblocks and there's a lot of up and downs. Take a moment to feel gratitude towards the work you're putting in, towards the impact you want to make in the world, and stop focusing too much and dwelling too much on the mistakes. The bottom line is there will be mistakes, there will be failures, there needs to be. A child doesn't learn how to walk by simply getting up one day and walking. They fall and they fall and they fall and they fall, and then they get up. And then at one point, they actually manage to walk. And even if you listen to all the videos about all the possible mistakes and you try and avoid them, you'll make your own. And I continuously make mistakes, and so will you. And that's okay. This is part of the learning process. So, overall, I'd say one of my biggest mistakes is not realizing sooner the failure is the road to success. The one failure after two failure after three, and on 10th failure, and then the 11th, it works. Great. And if you appreciate all these failures, all these tumble bugs, all these roadblocks along the way are just helping you learn, helping you grow, then this shifts your perspective and it makes the journey more enjoyable. Because if you're a high achiever like I am, and I'm sure you are, then sometimes these things can feel hard and painful, and you can feel maybe that rejection or that failure, and it really weighs on you. It doesn't have to. It really doesn't have to. You can embrace these failures and shift. Don't call them failures. Like, oh, that didn't work. Retransitioning. Rejection is redirection. Retransition to something else. Trial and error, experiment. I think this way: trial and error, like a scientist. Then shifting your perspective on failure will help. Hope you found this video useful, or this podcast episode if you're listening on the podcast. Having your own business is a roller coaster. It's also a lot of fun. And on last note, I'd like to say that if you can, find a peer group, find people around you that support you, that think in a similar way. But it can be a lonely journey, especially if you're a solopreneur, and having these people around you online or in person that support you, even if it's only 3, 4, 5 people, this will really help you along the way. I couldn't have made any of the results or achievements, quote unquote achievements, or anything I've achieved in my business without the support of mentors, coaches, friends, peer, other coaches, partner, family, friends. All these people are a tremendous network to lift your energy and help you move forward. Enjoy the journey and remember to connect with the magic of life.